The first one is by Mr. Ashok Chauhan, and his paper title is Utilization of Thorium in PHWRs. Mr. Ashok Chauhan is presently Technical Director on the NPCIL board. He has been involved in all aspects of LWR technology, particularly for the curriculum NPP. He's a trained scientist for probabilistic safety analysis and has established a PSA group in NPCIL for light water reactors and PHWRs. Shri Chauhan is a specialist in the complete fuel cycle and is responsible for entire fuel front and back-end activities and IAEA safeguards in NPCIL. Shri Chauhan, please. Welcome, Mr. Shri Chauhan.
Good morning, everybody. The chair, Dr. Balraj Sehgal. I see Chairman AERB, Mr. S.A. Bharadwaj, Chairman of the LWR Committee, Mr. S.K. Mehta, senior colleagues from BARC, Dr. Vijayan, senior colleagues from NPCIL, other units of DAE, the delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I will do a brief presentation on NPCIL, what are the plans of thorium irradiation, and I believe that this is the first talk by anyone of Nuclear Power Corporation of India. So I'll give a small brief of what we do in this company, then what we have done on thorium loading in our reactors, and what is the future plan. I'll keep it short since we are running late. So, Nuclear Power Corp, these are the topics, but I'll run through many of the things which are covered earlier in other lectures. Thorium resources, thorium properties, thoria irradiation in PHWRs, studies on thoria, and summary. Reactors in operation by NPCIL. The Tarapur 1-2 is a BWR and started in 1969. Tarapur 3-4, that is a PHWR of our own design, 2006. This is not in a sequence, but Tarapur, Rajasthan Atomic Station 1-2, Madras Atomic Station 1-2, Narora Atomic Station, Kakrapar, then Tarapur 3-4 KGS. These are the reactors, and then the latest is the VVER 1000, which was started in July 2013, and has completed one cycle. So this is some of the reactors which we are operating. These are some of the pictures of the sites of these reactors. These are the locations of the reactors. Let me tell you that earlier there was a philosophy that from 800 kilometers from the pithead of coal mines, which was here, if we should have nuclear power plants so that they become competitive, because either transporting coal or transporting electricity becomes costly. But today we are doing two things. First, the large light water reactors, which have components up to 500 tons, cannot be moved inland. So, we will have large LWRs at the coast and our own type of PHWR reactors which can be transported anywhere inside will be inland. So, the current our design is of 700 megawatt PHWRs which can be put up anywhere, but the large light water reactors which we are planning to have and having will be on the coast. Continuous run, this is one of some of our records that the latest is 765 days continuous run achieved in August 2014. This is only second in the world, the largest being, longest being I think in Pickering in Canada, but we have an advantage on this type of reactors, that's continuous on-load fueling, and therefore we can achieve these things. But still the reliability of the equipment and component is clearly shown. Projects under construction, we have today our standard is 700 megawatt. Kakrapar 3-4 and RAP 7-4, 7 and 8 are in advanced stages of construction, and there are other things, other reactors which are planned, but these are under advanced stages of construction which can be seen. Now, the uranium we do produce indigenously, but we are also importing. Fuel fabrication is all indigenous for our PHWR fuel. Zircaloy also we produced our own, all zircaloy components in NFC. The 700 megawatts, there are several of these will be put up. The most recent would be Haryana, Chutka in Madhya Pradesh, Mahi Baswara in Rajasthan. VVER, we have this unit number 2 is under commissioning, and at the same site we have already contracted VVR units 3 and 4, and possibly there will be 5 and 6, and other light water reactors of Jaitapur for EPR and Mithivirdi for AP1000, and another site, Kovla for GE, are also under consideration. Now, on our PHWR fuel, this is the 19 elements fuel for 220 megawatt, our earlier type reactors, and 37 element fuel for Tarapur 3 and 4 and 700 this time. Our fuel looks very different from the typical LWR fuel. It's short. Now, experimental irradiation experiences, high burn up irradiation of UO2, thorium oxide, loading, mixed oxide loading, reprocessing depleted uranium, loading called DU, slightly enriched uranium loading. These all we have done in our PHWR reactors. Thorium resources, this I will quickly skip because this you have covered in this, nature and sources of thorium. This is one of the important things, that India has the highest reserves of thorium in the world, followed by Turkey, Brazil and so. So, this will basically tells you why we are having a big program of thorium utilization. It is in our national interest, and our thorium reserves are, our uranium reserves are very, very modest. So, we have to move in this direction. U-233 production, standard physics. Attributes of thorium, you must have been covered by now. Variation of eta, neutrons released in this range. Now, the issue here is the thermal reactors. We are operating thermal reactors. For fast reactors, there is another corporation called Bhavni, which has been operating a test reactor for a very long time, and presently the 500 megawatt commercial reactor PFBR is under commissioning stages. that is a different corporation. And fast breeder reactors, we definitely, the 3-stage program has been presented, but in my talk here, we are representing the thermal range, and even in the thermal range, the U-233 eta is more in this range. Physical properties, I think it's covered already. Physical characteristics, thorium thermal conductivity is higher, thermal expansion smaller, high melting point is order, and fission product release and is an order lower, fuel deterioration is slow, does not react with water, and so on. So, this is a summary. Physics and safety considerations. Thorium is a neutron absorbing material, causes local neutron depression, flux depression. Magnitude of depression reduces with formation of U-233 as it is formed. Flux depressions can cause reduction in the worth of reactivity control devices. Criteria for initial fuel loading arrived such that required minimum worth is achieved. Some thoria bundles may be shifted from their initial location due to refueling. This is how our PHWR reactor core looks. This is the calandria and end shield. The coolant tubes are horizontal, and there are 2 fueling machines which keep on power fueling. This is how we go through. This is the reactor looks, and we load the fuel here. This is an actual photograph of the end view from one side of the end fittings, feeders, one side of the reactor in the fueling machine vault. Constraints of putting thoria bundles in PHWR reactors. I think PHWR, we told this is a heavy water moderated, so we have natural uranium fuel, and the excess reactivity present in the core is very limited. So, the number and locations of thoria bundles chosen such that initial power is close to full power, reactivity worth of shutdown systems equivalent to the assured worth used in safety analysis of fresh core, symmetry of power is maintained close to design power in equilibrium core, neutron flux depression across the cross section of thorium bundle is steeper than in natural uranium. This is the thorium bundle, then this causes a flux depression. Production of U-233 in 19 element thorium cluster at the 2.3 10 to the power 14 range. This is the U-233 being produced. This is the uranium-233 plus protoactinium, and that is the burn up. So, this is the way it goes through, and when you put it in the reactor. Protoactinium-233 absorbance cross section and resonance region is quite high, and here protoactinium later on converts into U-233. So, high power bundle. What are the issues due to this? Protoactinium decay to be taken care of because it causes reactivity balance shift during shutdown, and therefore has to be taken in account during restart. Bundle power increases due to increase in U-233. This is time of shutdown in days and the fractions. Now, this is what are the constraints, what are the advantages and disadvantages. Now, our experience, thorium bundle experience, this is the Kaga plant of ours. Experience of objective, experience of fabrication and irradiation of thorium. Flux flattening, we have been doing flux flattening in the initial core for quite some time. This is how the bundle looks. There is a shift in the spacers. Thorium bundle engineering, design similar to natural uranium bundle design, flat low density pellets used for test in the beginning, MAPS 186, standard dished pellets with high density used subsequently. Pellet specification was evolved along with BIRC, element axial and radial gap specified, bundle identification done, this outer bearing pads were staggered, bundles fabricated by nuclear fuel complex. 4 thoria bundles were irradiated in 84 before full scale loading for flux flattening purposes. These are the channels where it was loaded, up to 270 full power days irradiation done, confirmed the adequacy of design, fabrication and physics estimates, operational experience matched well with design estimates. These were the 35 thoria bundles where we did axial bundle location on the 12 places we have shown here. They are total 35. Now, initial fuel charge is generally, this is 35 thorium bundles, this are in T220 megawatt, and 3,637 natural U bundles. This was standard used in Kakrapar 1, 2, Kaga 1, 2, RAPS 3, 4. 18 thorium bundles in RAP 2 after its retubing were done after its absence of thorium irradiation in Indian PHWR. Flux flattening we have already told. 6 reactors have done this type of which was shown in the earlier slide. Maximum burn up 13,000 megawatt day per ton, 210 bundles irradiated. PI and chemical spectroscopy analysis confirmed design estimates. Reprocessing program to separate the U-33 is in progress. Bundle power envelopes for 2 different kind of bundles. This is the uranium, natural uranium, and this is the thorium bundle. The actual ones observed are here, a little lower than those. Irradiation experience, bundle power, peak linear heat generation rate, bundle burn up, 13, the residence period 3 years, number of bundles failed 1. This is the thorium and rest 700 megawatt which is yet to start. This is the loading. I think this is the position where you are putting them, and this is the starting position in this thorium bundle. In this way it is loaded, 12 bundles, and where it is hatched, the 9th bundle is thorium. Studies for future thorium usage. Irradiate thorium bundles as a regular basis in Indian PHWR core to build up U-233 inventory. There are several ways this can be done. U-233 inventory can be used to power future reactors like AHWR, which is planned to be put up. No change in existing design. 2 studies have been carried out for 220 megawatt and 540. These are at steady state today. What long-term scheme we are going to adopt? It's near, we will start it, but just now we have carried out a lot of studies, and based on these studies we are deciding which scheme to adopt. Schemes. So basically they are the outermost or little inside this and this. They are the basic types which are studied. Scheme 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, these are the various comparison of all the 4 schemes. In the 220 megawatt, refueling rate increase is one of the things, and extra natural uranium inventory, and it depends on how much we burden our operating reactors to produce U-233. Reactivity load for different thorium loading schemes. So, the scheme 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the different, this is the load on the reactor which has to be compensated. 540 megawatt similarly, very similar schemes. These are the 3 schemes studied. Again, the refueling rate increase for 540 megawatt. The different advantages, and reactivity load for scheme 1, 2, and 3. Scheme 2, now these are more complex schemes. Mixed thoria and slightly enriched uranium pin bundle use in full core. These have been studied, that the thorium in the central pin and 1.2% enriched uranium and thorium in 7 central pins and 2.2. These are full core studies, and similarly in 540 megawatt 1.05 SEU and 1.3. These are the type of bundles we are talking for 7 1-pin and 7-pin thoria bundles. 1-pin thoria, this are annual requirement, and I will finish it in 2 minutes. I have 10:30 is there. 37 element, these are the type of bundles. 37 is for 540 and 700, but there are limitations that we can operate only at 95% full power in this case, and in another case again 92% full power. These are the different details of the same schemes. Average burn up, natural uranium, again the same schemes what we are presenting, the studies on that. Reactor operating in this configuration, delay neutron fraction for all the schemes. These are this is the 37 pin, the other schemes which we have told 2% and 2.2%. And again these are the studies on the advantages. Now scheme 5, we are saying that if we even go up to 20% enriched EU, it can be utilized here. This is the mixture, and these are the of high enrichment schemes. We have to say that these are proliferation resistant cycles. Okay, that burn up optimization studies also have been done. Shutdown system work, this is that they can be operated. Schemes comparison. Pure thorium bundles, natural uranium savings, cost is 5% more. All other schemes which we have studied, discharge burn up, saving, cost, and comments. So these are the summary. Thoria bundles in PHWR to prove the related reactor physics, fuel design, and gain in radiation experience has already been done. Thorium is used in PHWR for effective flux flattening. Thorium offers a sustainable proliferation resistant fuel option for lower minor actinide burden. Short length fuel bundles and on power refueling provision of PHWR provides flexibility to use variety in fuel loading patterns. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Mr. Chauhan, I guess there will be some questions, so please raise your hand. Any questions? Yeah? Okay.
It's a nice presentation. It's nice to see that so many kind of options are being tried. My kind of observation is, I think other than the initial flux flattening, others are in the study stage.
Yes.
They are yet to be kind of implemented. What I thought was, in most of your studies also, the thorium locations, they are contiguous and either in the periphery or coming like this one. Maybe little more scattered one will allow you to have enough flux regeneration. Otherwise, if you keep continuous patch, then that entire patch flux will be depressed. I don't know whether this was taken into account by the physicists.
Mostly, based on all these studies, what we are currently thinking are the peripheral ones are being favored, even though the flux will be lower there, but the burden on the reactivity and the and the additional consumption of natural uranium bundles, we want to keep it at present a little lower. We will see if this can be done in increased in future, but just now we will most probably start from the loading in the peripheral regions. Thank you.
Because you want to have least disturbance for the fuel management.
Yes, yes, that's the objective.
Some two questions here.
Hello, myself S. Bansal. Sir, from the lecture, I understand that the main, in our PSWRs, we are using thorium for flux flattening and all that, mainly focus is that.
Yeah.
So my question is, because we are having so many PSWRs, so whether there is some plan for producing U-233 for actual that thorium based reactor also, in addition to that our this fast breeder reactors.
Yeah, actually that's the whole point in the lecture, that though we have been using for flux flattening for quite some time, now the new schemes which are being studied are for regular loading of thorium bundles. Mostly the favored ones are in the peripheral channels, where some yearly production of U-233 will be there in the reactors, and which will be separated and used for other advanced reactors. That's the main thing which we have been studied, which has been studied, and most probably for shortly it will be implemented. Thank you.
A question there, yeah.
Luc van der Durp, a very interesting presentation. Another option could be, with certain degree of uncertainty on the future nuclear power plants that could be considered, is without reprocessing to extend in a second and in the third cycle the central thorium pins. Is that an option that has been considered, meaning mechanically disassembling the used fuel and to reconfigure new fuel, extending the central thorium positions for a second run, because then you can make benefit of the uranium-233 that you invested in your first cycle?
No, we have not studied that part of things. We know that probably you are talking it's a little different, but there have been Dupik cycle and other type of things of partial reprocessing and loading, but no, we are not thinking. Thank you.
Next question.
Thank you very much, sir, for making us aware of wonderful developments. It's very heartening. But there is a concern. My question is regarding the type of fuels which are now being developed all over the world. And there are a lot of innovative ideas which propped up many years back, were dropped down, again reconsidered. Would you throw some light on the various types of fuels which are available, fuel options available for thorium, which can benefit India in the long run, instead of only focusing on the existing designs and not trying any innovations?
I believe that in the thermal reactor range, we have a HWR, advanced heavy water reactor, that has a very innovative design which will utilize thorium. Our fast breeder reactor program you already know, but the limited purpose of this lecture was to see how we can produce without much changes in the present PHWR reactors, how 233 can be produced. But we have advanced designs, especially I would mention the AHWR. Thank you.
Yeah, question?
Still in that you mentioned slightly enriched uranium thorium. Do you consider also reprocessed uranium thorium option?
Yes, we do.
Have you done studies?
We have done studies, yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I think what you are saying, that for inserting thorium bundles in a current PHWR, you need additional enrichment. about 1.2% rather than natural uranium?
No, sir, not necessarily. We can, if we are loading, there are several schemes which will not require any enriched uranium bundles. We can have a mix of natural uranium bundles, which we are doing, plus maybe says 2-3 schemes we have shown, where there is no need to put. But if we put enriched, slightly enriched uranium, the production of U-233 could be more.
Yes.
And more thorium bundles can be loaded. But both these schemes we have studied.
But with that slightly more enrichment, you have more flexibility.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that is true. We have more flexibility with even slightly enriched uranium. We have lot more flexibility.
How about if you use plutonium? Do you have flexibility in that too?
See, when we say slightly enriched, that's we are enriching that here, but plutonium has its own issues using in this, but we have these cycles which are most optimized is a slightly enriched between 0.9 and 1.1 of these bundles, and then mixed with that thorium. But just now, if you talk of immediate future, our plan is to remain with natural uranium and load some thoria bundles in the periphery.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the, I'm saying, is for future. This is the current thing.
Okay. Yeah, question from Japan?
Okay, I am afraid I can ask this question or not, but there is a similar activity in China using thorium with slightly enriched uranium with the help of Canada. Are you having collaboration with them, or you are developing that independently?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, I think we are done with discussion. You have a?
Oh, I thought he was telling about Chinese thing, but what's the question, please?
So you're developing that fuel independently?
You are asking us?
Yeah.
Yes, we are independently.
Alone.
We are doing our own development.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have to proceed further. Time is running, and we are already late in this session. So I have to ask the next speaker, Dr.
Thank you very
Professor.
much.
Yeah. Oh, I think we have a little ceremony.